Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. Welcome to our last meeting of the summer, if you count summer ending at Labor Day. Welcome here. The roll call is myself, Bob Carlson. I'm the first selectman. Also with us is Brett Mastrani, selectman, and also Selectwoman Nicole Porter. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, are there any public comments on non-agenda items? That's something we're not going to be covering today. If there's any comment on non-agenda items, you can speak now. Anybody online, Nicole, Christine, no? Any comments by the other two selectmen? Brett?
I just wanted to give an update and say thank you about regarding moving the farmer's market to 298. It was pretty successful. People loved the ease of parking, and the vendors all thought there was more attendance. And I noticed that this time, I don't know if it was the area or just the day, or that Ollie from Briar Lewis Farm brought his oxen, but we had more children there as well running around, so it was nice to see. So I just wanted to give you an update on that. Thanks.
And will you be tweaking it all, or was it pretty happy with the way it went?
I think we were pretty happy with the way it went. There'll be more temporary signs up day of, and then we might reposition just how the vendor booths were facing, so you get more street visibility. But that was it. But it was really positive feedback from not only the community, but vendors as well.
And the highway department has a date, so they're gonna try to make sure the grass gets cut, the week of, so you don't
Yeah,
have,
it was a little weedy.
well, we cut it the Monday before, so.
Yeah.
The field of weeds.
I loved seeing that I was quoted in the paper as saying our field of weeds. I need to remember that.
Some people have fields of dreams.
We have field of weeds. It was good.
Thank you.
So, something that I think, when you think about North Stonington and our agriculture, something that could set us apart is more animals I think that would be a great draw.
Right. No, it was nice, and it kind of happened last minute. I actually stopped by the farm the night before, and I was talking to little Ollie, and I said, "Hey, you should bring your oxen tomorrow." And then the next morning I get a phone call from his father saying, "Hey, I'm headed there with Ollie's oxen. I didn't tell his mom that we're coming." So be prepared. But it worked out well. It was nice to see. At first I got a little nervous. I thought it might have been too close to the food chain, since we have vendors selling beef there too, and the cows walking around, but I think it worked out all right.
Was, one thing I had a comment was someone was looking for vegetables. Do we have anybody selling vegetables?
So we don't right now. The only vegetables we really had was corn on the cob. There are some companies that are farms that are supposed to be coming, but vegetables are always one thing that we struggle with locally. We don't have a lot of farms that produce a ton of vegetables. I know the Learn Farm, they couldn't make this one, but they're usually at ours, and they do have vegetables, so we should have some at the next one.
Great.
Yep.
Okay. For our selectmen comments, two quick things. I wanted to give you an update because at our last meeting on August 8th, I told you I would get back to you on the school and the town as far as working out reconciliation. Speaking with our accounting generalist today and getting a report for her, she expects by tomorrow to be through May, which is a giant leap for us, through May. We were only through December a few weeks ago, so through May. And to give you an idea, we're already working on July for this year, and it's going a lot smoother. So I think we're working out the kinks. And she said she feels that there is no need at this point to look at a third party order to come in. It'd be a waste of money, and they think it's coming around. So the second thing I wanted to mention was some correspondence. I was asked to sign, and you'll see a letter from the Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments, COG. Amanda Kennedy wrote a letter in support for this Alliance for Mystic River Watershed. And what they're doing is, it's pretty much the group that's down on Lanton Hill, and they're looking to go for an application for some funding. And they've asked the 4 surrounding towns and the 2 tribes if they would sign off letters of support. I got a letter today, and I just want to run it by you, that was signed by all four towns, and they're just waiting for the two tribes to sign off on it, which they think they'll get tomorrow. I want to make sure that it's okay with you guys to sign off on that letter. This was a signature just on a single one that I would be on, but the one I'm gonna see is gonna have all the signatures on it, so unless there's some reason why you would not want me to sign this, again, it's not gonna cost the town any money. It's just supporting their efforts to get money for what they're trying to do. So is there any reason why you want me not to sign it?
I guess I just, what is the climate resilience regional challenge?
So basically, it's the dam work, the cleanup of the rivers that come out of Long Pond that go all the way down to Mystic. So that's why it's us, Ledges, Stonington, and Groton. And I just want to make sure that with water shedding off roads, pollution, things like that, they want to make sure that they get the funding to pay attention to those things. And since it's not coming from us, we're not paying anything to be in it. If they can get the funding, I figure, knock yourself out, do what you can do. If it helps better our surrounding area, and again, it doesn't cost our taxpayers any money, then I don't see where there's an issue, unless it was something that we definitely did not want to do, and I didn't see anything in this would make me think that. So if you can want to just give me a verbal, that's okay to sign it, I'll be glad to. Okay,
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
fine.
great, thank you. Okay, next. Recreation Commission pickleball request. I think, Jim, you're here for that. Or Heath, or you can use that microphone? This gonna be a duet or one at a time?
We at the rec commission have voted on using some $2,500 of our ARPA money to resurface and line the old basketball court over here for pickleball, because right now there's a little battle up to tennis courts for pickleball or tennis. So until the town figures out what they want to do with the land, we could repurpose the basketball court cement for pickleball. And so you have,
Yeah, I guess just a little bit of background is we have this ARPA money and from the rec commission, and we were trying to think about ways that we could use the funds in a way that they don't just disappear. Right? So we've done some really cool programs, and we've done things that involve a small portion of the community, and we ice skating and a couple other things. But we wanted to start looking at things that would last after the day that we use them. Right? So that this was one option that we came up with, is to put pickleball courts in basketball.
So Heath and Jim, just a couple of questions. I had someone in my office who's I guess plays a lot of pickleball down at rec, and he came in with a design. And the way he showed it to me was the basketball court as we see it today, you could put one court on there if you do it lengthwise, the way the court runs. If there was tar added to all four sides, like say 3 feet to each side, you could get 3 courts in there. So I guess my question is, are you looking to just do the 1 court for now? Let us go to the community conversation and see what the town's appetite is for repurposing, and then possibly go to 3 courts? Or are you just looking to get the 1 court, or what is it?
we have a quote from the person that's going to do the resurfacing, and they said they can get 2.
Two courts that he had all the dimensions, and so you can get 2 courts and all the,
That's what we were instructed from the
okay.
And what was the quote?
25.
So, and that's, okay. So
And
would you need to use any of your operational money, or this is pure ARPA?
Pure
as far as nets, they own nets, portable nets, or what's the story? with that?
they bring their own nets. That's what they do up there now.
So
That
I-
way, because we're not planning on putting a fence around it, so it's not gonna be protected. And that's like go away.
So if they use portable nets and they set it up, then you could still use it as a basketball court when
Yes.
they're not there, correct?
Yeah.
And I told one of the residents that was in my office, just showing me the design, that they could probably use, we could work it out so we can use that white shed to store the nets if they didn't want to lug them back and forth. It's up to them, but I think the schools moved a lot of their equipment out of there, so that might be a possibility, just to make it almost like that rec would become almost like a quasi rec landscaping shed.
What's your timeline? What are you
Um,
thinking?
We were thinking, as soon as we get the okay from the town to use it, we're gonna contact the company and they would come in. Do it. Make that
I mean,
available.
What,
Saw an email about our community conversation, but I can't remember,
so I sent an email today, just letting all the boards and commission chairs know that it's happening on the
yeah.
9/9 at 9, right? So POCD is gonna be the first part, repurposing this property is the second part. So I guess my question on that is, what happens if
Yeah, that was
you
on-
spend the money and then the town has no appetite for that? They want to do something totally different with the property.
Our thought is it might take 2 years for that to happen,
2 years for what to happen?
for anything for anybody to come
Oh,
up with a solution. So this would be 2 years of use with not much money.
We'd like to
Yeah.
hope that it's less than 2 years. But
So-
it's 2,500 and I mean, there's such a need right now. I would encourage anyone that you have on your rec commission, but also people that have come forward. I know that the Armstrongs in particular are very passionate about it. To come to the community conversation, because we'd love to incorporate that into all of the other suggestions that are going to come from the town.
And I was at the rec meeting and heard the discussion, and I think part of it was later on, if this did stick and go through, then you'd look at getting real nets that
Correct.
the town would own and put there. But when you hear it, I agree that it could take, yes, we're gonna have a community conversation and it might go in a different direction. But knowing how things progress and we'd have to go to town meeting for any expenditures and we don't have anything budgeted right now, what comes out of it, getting a year or 2 years of
I
use
totally agree.
compared to that just sitting the way it is now, would be great. I did happen to read an article, in Stonington where they're actually looking to expand. And actually, one of the people running for, one of the first selectman spot, they're campaigning on, one of their things is pickleball, because they've heard from so many residents that the courts they have are being used so much that they want to expand in other areas. Because of it's so popular, and you read about it in other towns, but I do think the benefit of residents for a year or a year and a half for $2,500, it
Yeah.
seems like
I
a right thing to
totally
do.
agree.
so Jim, I did send you an email today to all the chairs asking if you can get rec commission members to the meeting on that Saturday morning for both the POCD and the repurposing. And I hope that the Armstrongs come also. And I think the fact that if you're using temporary nets at this point is not a bad thing, because then we can still use it for multi-purpose. It can be used as basketball or for that. And then down the road, if we want to commit to a full-time pickleball court, we have other basketball courts at the rec, obviously, so. And I don't see it that much, that's used that often for basketball, but what'll happen is we'll make it a permanent pickleball, and then all the basketball people will show up and say, why can't I play basketball? So,
I do think there's options for more permanent nets that are, I say permanent, but they are removable as well, so that you can put them down and take them down, if that, you keep that as multi-purpose.
has
in the
the
future.
Armstrong showed you the plan of 3 courts? And I don't know why 2 courts wouldn't be enough, but,
I don't know,
okay. All right, so are you looking for a decision tonight from us to just say that with your ARPA money not costing the town any additional money, that you can get what you want to get accomplished
yes,
and do it in a fairly quick way, so you can get guys playing people playing before it gets too cold out. Although I see in Stonington, they play in the winter too, so.
And it came up at your rec meeting, and I think you might have mentioned it right before we started, here, that there is some issues sometimes at the tennis courts where people play pickleball now, and then you have the tennis players playing as well. So that, I mean, that's good to hear.
I know Sunday. Block,
Okay. And the pickleballers that come now, they bring their own nets, or?
yes, the store and net at the rec building. And then they take it out.
Okay. Thank you.
Right now, they use one tennis court.
And does that interfere with like lesson time? I know we have lessons down there and things like that.
Yes, but they come in after.
Okay.
So they end up blowing their net. The chalk off the ground.
So it's not ideal.
I'm sure the tennis players don't like all the extra lines on the court. So when you have the design, and maybe you have one of the resurfacing and the lines are gonna look like, will you be able to get that to us just to review them? I won't change tonight, but tonight's vote, but I would like to see it because if we could possibly put a, even if it's just a dash where the foul line would be, so basketball is played, you know, where to take a foul shot from, 15 feet out. Something like that. So it wouldn't really upset the pickleball lineup too much, but I know pickleball lines and tennis lines don't work well together. So. Okay. Guess we'll entertain a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion to allow rec to use the old basketball. Well, it's not the old basketball court, but the basketball court at 298 for resurfacing and pickleball use.
I'll second.
Okay, any other further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 You're good to go.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Great use of the money.
Okay, next, number 7, dogs at Ewart Farm. So, this is, brought a lot of discussion in the past. I know that, Brett, you brought up at the last meeting about an ordinance, and I just, looking at that same ordinance, which is section 14-23. The only thing I have an issue with is, it says, all parks and other facilities under the jurisdiction of the rec commissioners will be governed and controlled by the following rules of conduct. And domestic animals shall be permitted to enter or go at large at any park except dogs held on a leash by their keepers. So I guess my only question is, I understand if they're on town property or any property that's run by the rec, that's the case. But the Ewart Farm, in my belief, is run by the Ewart Farm Committee, not by the Recreation. So I don't know how we take that line in the ordinance and how we understand what it's trying to tell us there.
Right. So reading it, I mean, that is one of the lines. So there is that line. So just to clarify, the Hewitt Farm Committee is a advisory board to the Board of Selectmen. If you read when we established it, they're here to advise us in the operational use of that. So yeah, so it states that under the rec department, it's under that, the rules for conduct, all parks and other facilities under their jurisdiction. So you can go back and say the definition of a park is a town-owned park, parkland, park, ground, beach, space, or other building or structure in town owned or used by the town and devoted to active or passive recreation. So there's a definitely gray area in there. And now the rec does oversee the pavilion in that big green space across from the house. So that is under their jurisdiction as of now. But the bigger,
Oh, they do the pavilion, but I didn't know they were doing the field.
yeah, that field, when you rent that field, you get use of that front part of that.
Rent the pavilion, you get used to the field.
The grass area. So it really, there's been a lot of back and forth online about it, people complaining about dogs running around. I think we just need to come up with a solution, either say yes and put it out there and just come up with a definition of how that's allowed. And maybe put up some, if we go that route, just, I think clarifying some of these ordinances could help that in the future, but it's come up, so I think it's just important for us to talk about it and decide which direction you want to go.
Now, in the last administration, there was a survey done, I believe, by the Ewart Farm, and the Board of Selectmen voted to allow the results of the survey to take hold, and that be on a leash or under control, correct? So are you saying we should then add to this ordinance and make it more definitive as far as that particular piece of property?
I think it might be, in talking to our animal control officer, she recommends always on leash control because of some of the complaints we've had in different town areas. And I think at Hewitt, there were some dogs that chased down someone, and it's fine. It's just when we have that, back and forth with our ordinances, what's park, what's considered under the rec jurisdiction, what's not, it's confusing. And I just would hate for it to ever come back to bite us that.
Play on words.
Yeah, 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 exactly. No pun intended. So I think it's just important for us to discuss and see how that plays out and what we want to do.
So we're not you're not looking to get a decision this evening because you're the one that brought this up, but to have more discussion and possibly go to an ordinance, maybe not a change of an ordinance clarification down the road when we work on ordinances in the
Yeah.
future.
Because some people even said, hey, could you have an area at Hewitt where dogs can run free? So that way they're only in that area and you don't worry about them on the trails chasing down people or things like that. I mean, 95% of the dogs are probably great off leash, but there's are ones that aren't. So I think we have to look at both sides, the people that want it off, the dogs off leash and the ones that want them leashed.
I think I'm less concerned. I think that we should clarify the ordinance. I understand that part. But I think I guess my question is if we make the dogs to be on a leash and they're not, somebody comes in and they're walking the trails with their dog off the leash. What are we doing? What recourse do we have? I'm now walking. I'm afraid of dogs. The dog approaches me. Having a sign saying they need to be on a leash is not going to force everybody. It's not going to be absolute that everybody's going to put their dog on a leash. In fact, I think that a lot of them are not going to. So what are we going to do with that information when they come and they complain that they
So-
were at Hewitt and there was a dog off a leash? I don't know.
So our
how we're
animal
gonna
control
handle that.
officer does follow up on those things. So there was an incident, I think, at the school not too long ago. And she tracks them down or she follows up and issues some kind of citation, I think.
Okay, I mean,
But I mean, we want our residents to be using the property and be happy, but we want them to feel comfortable and safe at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's why it just is a discussion that maybe we should clarify and then if we need to put that somewhere in our ordinance, do it that way. So then there is.
So your piece is, you're worried about enforcement. So I think
well, I just
clarification
want
is
to
one
make
thing.
sure if we're going to talk about it this much and we're going to make a ruling on it and we're going to change signs and change the ordinance, then we should at least be able to know that we can follow through with something if somebody violates that.
Yeah, and maybe we
I'm-
bring Kasha in and ask her
Yeah,
to
I
give
mean,
us a real opinion and any statistics that go along.
We can put this on another agenda
Yeah.
coming up. It's not a
I
problem.
I did look up that survey where I think they did some kind of Facebook poll or something years ago on it. So I did see that in some old minutes, but
and it showed what?
it was the majority of respondents wanted to off leash. It wasn't a vast difference in votes, but it also wasn't a highly responded
Yeah.
to survey.
If there's no other comments, I'll open for public comment if that's okay. Just,
Yeah.
does anyone want to comment on that? Ryan? Christine, is anybody online?
This on?
Go ahead, Brian.
All right, yeah, as far as, we got an ordinance already, I believe. And I believe the state of Connecticut ordinance says you're supposed to have dogs under control, and I think that's what the Hewitt property or the Hewitt commission was looking at. I mean, I've been down there fishing and had dogs come running up to me. I had one guy with a dog and jumped right in the water by my hook. I told him right out, I'm not pulling. If I pull my hook in, your dog gets hooked. It ain't on me, it's on you. You know, so here I'm a resident just trying to fish for an afternoon. He comes down with his dog, not on a leash. So I don't think we should change an ordinance just to make people happy. Plus, look at the out of towners, the other towns. A lot of other towns will have 2 different areas where dogs can go. Large dogs and small dogs. It's not good if a big dog and a little dog get together and the big dog don't like the little one or vice versa. Then you got a dog fight. So I think and people tell me, oh yeah, my dog is always under control. I call him, he comes right back. Well, I know for a fact that a dog, we used to coon hunt around here. And we had permission from the farmers to hunt their land. Well, there were some other coon hunters that same night, their dog got onto a deer. Now, when a coon dog gets on a deer, pretty hard to break him of that habit. And usually the coon dog's done. He ain't good for hunting anymore. He's gonna pick up that deer scent. But getting back to the Hewitt property area, I believe that everybody ought to have their dog on a leash because you can let your dog run down a Hewitt property. He's gonna run off in the woods and take a crap. Next thing you know, you got dogs all over the place. And I do believe that Hewitt stream that goes down through there, from what I've read about aquifers, they come underground, they can come above, and I believe that's part of the place that one comes above. I hate to see dog crap in an aquifer. I hate to see him peeing all over all the bushes, checking out territory. I think there's a lot of merit to keeping a dog on a leash. People from out of town, some of them have to pay to use the dog parks, but just what? North Southampton's free and you can let your dog run. What a great job. We can bring our dog there and we'll let him run. And I think there's a lot to be thought about on that. And I really hope we do have more discussion on it. I know the survey they had, I wrote into it, but it wasn't a well-done survey. It was just kind of, hey, you got a dog. Hey, we're having a survey. We want to be able to let our dog run. And that's the way it happens. But as long as we are Northern and the state of Connecticut says this dog's supposed to be under control at all times. So if you can't see your dog, that dog's not under control in my aspect. So I would like to see the ordinance stay the same, but if you're gonna have more discussion, you'll probably hear from me again. Thank you.
So I don't think we're looking to change it, Brian. We're looking to clarify it because that first part I read, it said land under control of the rec department. And I guess the question is your farm under that control or not? And should we just clarify it? That's all we're asking. So it wasn't to make a change. It was to clarify the wording.
Well, I just wondered if the Hewitt, because I know the Hewitt committee is an advisory board. Did they check with the Recreation Commission on that? Don't forget, we got a tenant down there now. I don't think he'd appreciate having dogs run through his yard.
So we'll have discussions, and I think a good idea, Brett said, to bring Kosher in also. And there's some discussion about doing dogs on leashes on school property also, because we had some incidents at the school. So I think it's a bigger discussion, but we just wanted to kick it off tonight with starting the discussion. Thank you. I'm sure you'll speak on it again sometime.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments on that subject? Nobody online. That we can
I just
see.
want to, since we're talking about dogs and leashes, one thing I would like to look into, and I can do that on the side, is looking at those dispensers, those green bag dispensers. So people do at least pick up after their dogs that are there. I did notice during the farmer's market, people have been walking their dog on this front area where we had the farmer's market, and we did have to pick up some areas that the vendors talked about, so.
Okay. Of course, we do know that dogs on a leash or not on a leash can still go to the bathroom, right? Okay. The leash doesn't stop that. Okay. All right. If there's no other comment, we're going to move along. Thank you for your input. Letter of support for development. So just some clarification because, and I okayed this agenda and maybe I should have been a little more descriptive, but there was a group that came to us, just before our planner left. Ariel was here. And he asked if myself, he and Bill Wazika, who works with our WPCA, could get together and listen to what this gentleman was asking to possibly do. And it's up near the Rotary. It's behind the medical center. It's on that piece of property that's been proposed for a lot of things. I think there's been Target stores and water parks and multifamily homes and so on. So this particular gentleman is looking to do a mixed-use development up there with commercial, residential, and so on. And at this point, what he's looking for is a letter of, just a letter to say that I guess we wouldn't fight it, we wouldn't oppose it at this point. We're just gonna say, yes, it's a letter of support to let him go on. You see there's a letter of what he's describing, and there's two pictures of what it could look like. Brett was able to do some research on this particular company, And I thought we would discuss it this evening and vote whether we should give him a letter of support or not. I think there's a lot to think about when you do something like this, because as a Board of Selectmen, would the town support this? Do we know who we're dealing with? How does it impact the schools? What, there's long range process. We know it's got to go through planning and zoning and come through a lot of hoops before we get to the point where it would be approved and goes forward. But does the Board of Selectmen want to do a letter of support at this point or not? To just say, yes, move forward. We're not against this idea. Or do we want to just say this isn't something that we have an appetite for today. We don't think this is in the best interest of the town to support this through a letter.
So I would say that I would not be in support of writing a letter for this. I'd like to clarify that this person or this company, it's a newer company, but they don't own the property. I think they're looking to purchase the property, which would be great, but I don't foresee why we would give a letter of support saying that we support 300 units of residents in town and mixed with commercial for someone that doesn't own the property to help them. I understand it's to help them get funding to maybe purchase the property and do this project. But I hate to lend credibility to a company that we don't know in a project that haven't really been vetted by us or anyone else in the community. And we don't know what they would technically do with that letter or that information. I don't think we've done that in the past, from what I understand and talking to prior first selectmen, where we write a blanket statement saying, hey, we support this project, please fund this gentleman. So basically, he's not saying please fund it, but that's what he wants to do with this letter. And within a few meetings with our planner before he left, I don't think that's enough for us to write a letter of support and stand behind that. I mean, maybe down the road, maybe if he purchases it and then he's going for funding on the commercial side for the development of it, it'd be one thing, but seeing that it's not even owned by him, have we heard anything from the property owner themselves asking us to help do this?
No.
All right, so that's where I would stand on it.
Nicole?
I agree. I'm not in support of a letter of support at this point. Having just finished all of the community conversations regarding our planning of conservation and development, not once did I hear, we would love a box store of Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. We'd like 300 units of, affordable housing. So affordable housing, yes, in a way that fits with North Stonington. The pictures are gorgeous. I just don't think that they fit in North Stonington. I'm not in support of a letter.
Okay, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I think as Brett said, if they can show they bought the land, so now they have skin in the game, they bought the property, and they can show us a study on how the number of units they're proposing, how they would impact the school system. We know the town right now has debt paying for the schools. And what do we want to incur more debt by adding additions to the school? So how does that support it? What does it do with emergency operations? I mean, do we need to add, to house the building? Do we need to add additional trucks? Do we have to bring on more people? How is it going to be handled by the police force? And so there's a lot to it. I understand where the person like this letter of support, but again, we're probably putting the cart before the horse because if you said to me, can I get a letter of support to buy Brett's house? Well, did you ask for, I didn't have talked to Brett yet. So how do we know that this is even going to come to fruition? So I think if he came back to us in the coming months and said, hey, I own the property, here's some studies I've done on how the town's impacted, and I'm willing to work with you to change design and maybe tone down design. And when you look at this, it looks like I'm in Florida.
Yeah.
It's not in North Stonington. So, not that that's bad per se, but it just, if you said where if you said this one, where is this accomplished? You would never say it's in North Stonington, Connecticut.
And
Um,
I do wonder how much research he's done into the community as well for this. Because it does say that hopefully they can put a North Stonington Police or Connecticut State Trooper substation in there, so. And we know we don't have a police force, so.
So what I would like to do is, I'll respond to him tomorrow, because he emailed me today. Asked me if we were gonna discuss this, and I said we would. I responded to him tomorrow, said we had a healthy discussion. We have some concerns. When the land, you can show us that you have ownership of the land, and you have some studies on how, impact studies on our town, we then can go back and entertain it and maybe come in person and do some sort of a presentation rather than emailing a couple of renderings and a one-page description. So, so why don't we do that? I'll contact him tomorrow. Okay, next. Fall town meeting. So we need a town meeting to start. We took office, we said, we're not gonna have a lot of town meetings because there were quite a few prior. And town meetings lose effect when you have too many of them. So we said we're gonna have less. So we do need one now to just start getting things done, because we need to look at some things in town that have to be accomplished. And I don't think that waiting much longer is gonna help matters. So Christine, can you have the call. I guess we can just look at, so the number one on the call is, should the town approve 5-year capital investment improvement plan for, present for fiscal years 2024, 2020. That's a 5-year LoSiP plan. We do this pretty much every year to reapprove this. So the town of, improvement appropriation, these are some of the things we talked about with the Board of Finance the other night. Or you weren't there, but it was the LoSiP money we had to talk to them about as far as doing a appropriation, and also the appropriation for the transfer station. We're going to another plan with the different trucks that they approved both of these things unanimously 6-0. We still have to go to a town meeting because they're more than $20,000. Should the town empower the first selectman to enter into a contract with the Connecticut Department of Energy Services and Public Protection? So we have to, at the town meeting, and we looked in the past, and it's always been done at a town meeting, we have to approve the fact that we have 2 resident troopers and we're gonna stay with that program. If you remember, a few years back, we had 3 and we went down to 2. And then there's always a resolution that comes up every year around this time, is allowing the Board of Selectmen to go out and appropriate $1 million if there's an emergency. Can we go and take a loan for $1 million if something drastic happens in town, something that's out of the norm, that we need to do something right away? God forbid it's something that's environmental, something that's driven by Mother Nature, but we have to be able to have the ability to do that without going through a series of meetings to do it. I think you've seen this. It's been on once a year on every town meeting, once a year for years. It doesn't matter who the first selectman or who the Board of Selectmen are. It's always typically approved. It's never been used. Knock on wood, it never has to be used. But those are things that we're looking to just put to bed. This is just maintenance, except I would say that 3 and 4 are a little bit more than maintenance, especially 3, because it allows us to move forward with the truck and move forward with the transfer station changes that we want to do. So do we have any comment or discussion on that?
Yeah, I just, my comments, I have, well, a few maybe. Is there any benefit, Christine, maybe you can answer this, because we want to limit the amount of town meetings we have. Is there any benefit to waiting a few weeks because we should know about the steep by then, and some of those things need to go to town meeting, that we can roll those all into this compared to having another one in November?
I mean, we can't order the truck until it's approved at town meeting, and that's gonna take a minimum of 6 months. So it just depends. That's the only, that and the resident trooper
Troopers.
contract, those are the 2 more time sensitive things. The trooper contract, we've been holding off since July 1. It is what it is.
Right.
I do have a typo there. It should be a term of 2 years, not 3 years. So I've adjusted that. But we're supposed to hear by September 30th for steep, so we could hold off.
Yeah. I just didn't know if it's benefit to push it out a week or two and try to get all those in at once, so then we don't have to worry about another one in November. Or
So if we
December.
get the steep award on the 30th, then you still have to do the additional appropriation. The Board of Finance still has to do the additional appropriation. You still have to call the town meeting and then we go to town meeting. So we're talking November, no matter what.
Okay, and then so I don't know how you guys want to handle that, but then my second question is, do we have the cost of the troopers? Has the percentage change in what we pay for benefits and other expenses?
I don't think that's included in this contract. I don't think this is a monetary contract. It's just a service contract.
As you do remember in last year's budget, we had quite a bit of a leftover on the troopers because their fringe went down.
Yeah, I can email you guys the contract to review, but we get that number completely separate
Okay.
from.
And it
Yes.
might be just just some bullet points of it stayed the same, nothing's changed. Cause I know a few years ago, they went from like a 75% where they paid 25% of fringe benefits and other stuff. And then they went to 100%, that we pay 100%. So I just want to make sure it didn't get worse since then.
I don't think that's a part of this contract at all.
Okay,
It might be something that, the community will ask though during
right.
the town meeting.
I'll
so-
email this to you guys tomorrow.
Perfect.
Okay, so as far as moving it, I don't mind having another town meeting in November, but I would like to get that truck on order because it's not gonna come in now until March or April, I believe, correct? The sooner we get, especially if we can get this kicked off by July 1st of next summer would be nice. So I don't know whether we want to push this town meeting back till, if we did everything the way the calendar has it, we could do it on October 2nd if we kept with tonight's calendar. If we wanted to move it back to the end of October or early November. Now, we also have elections in early November, so it's tough to get people to come out multiple times. I don't know, whatever you decide, but I would prefer to do it October 2nd, have it done, so we get rid of the maintenance part of the town work, and then come back in November or early December with a town meeting to do the steep grant. But you can't do anything with the steep money until the spring anyway.
Was there anything else that you guys wanted to have included on this town meeting? That's why we wanted to review it today. The goal would be, if we're sticking with October 2nd, the goal would be for you to call it at your meeting on September 12th. Calling it on the September 26th meeting does not give the required timeline for the ad to be in the newspaper.
So would we have until our next meeting if there was something we wanted to add to
Yes.
this? Okay, then I'm comfortable moving.
With October 2nd.
Yeah, if we're waiting to call it till then, if there's something that comes up from now till then that we can add to it,
Do we not have any ordinance
that's what I was thinking.
changes that?
Not any in draft at this point. And you will have the LoCIP 5-year plan in your packet for the next meeting when you go to call for the meeting, so you'll know
Okay.
what that plan is.
I'm fine with the October 2nd as well.
So we are moving it, we are waiting 2 weeks before we call the meeting, so.
Yes.
And are you comfortable with the 6:30 start time, since that's what time your meetings happen? Is that something you want to think about? Just all the things that I.
So on the 12th, we're doing the 6 o'clock walk, correct?
I mean, for the town meeting on this.
Oh. I don't know,
I just think about it.
I'm thinking 6:30 is fine.
6:30 is fine. I think it's not too late yet.
Yeah.
Gives people a chance to get home. So actually it's 3 weeks from tonight. We will be on the 12th, 3 weeks from this evening, correct? Okay. All right, so what did you want us to get tonight? Just to agree that we'll do it on the 12th?
Nothing. I just wanted you to have the draft so that you can see if there's something that you think about the order of the questions, because I want to have it as close to possible for the meeting, so you can sign whatever I have printed. So if you have things you think you want added as we're getting closer to the meeting, send them to me so I can include them on the draft.
All right, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tax refunds, who would like to do those this evening? Brett.
That. So I will make a motion to approve tax refunds totaling $1,299.67 to Taters LLC, Kimberly Thompson, the estate of Richard Geller, Hayward Gatch, Thomas Brightman, and Alare Leslie. I think I
I'll
might have
s-
said that right.
I'll second.
Any else further discussion?
Oh, yeah. Oh, never mind.
What-
Sorry.
What, you didn't see your name on there?
No, no, okay. I saw that there were two that were not in North Soington, but the people live outside of North Soington. They probably have businesses.
It's either a business like a leasing company or it could be a second home. or-
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so if there's no other discussion, all in favor of approving the tax refunds as read, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, old business demolition of the 1-story 298 Norwich Wesley Road. We're still waiting for a closeout number. I've had correspondence with both town attorney and with Bestec. We have heard back from Bestec that they received my letter, and that's all I had know at this point.
That you have heard back from them.
But
that they
Just that,
received
just
it.
that they're in receipt of my letter, yes. So I had to send it certified, so I got the certified mail
Yep.
back saying I received it.
Oh, so not from them personally, just
Just-
you've gotten the receipt that it was
Yes.
delivered.
Right.
So when did that go out? It was a couple of weeks ago, easy, right?
Probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. That's, we are.
So the only thing with not hearing back anything is it does hold up what we have in our ARPA funding for
Yes.
that line item.
Yeah, at this point, yes. It's
Okay.
just, it's, because we need to leave it, I think, alone until we know what the final closeout is, yes. Vacancy appointment, so always fun to appoint somebody, especially when he shows up or she shows up. Josh, you back there? You're hiding. Perfect, thank you. So the Conservation Commission had a resignation, as we know, at our last meeting. A gentleman that had been on, Mr. Mancini, had been on for a while. And there was 2 new candidates recently, Josh and a woman that wanted to get on, and we appointed the other candidate at a previous meeting. And now with Mr. Mancini's resignation, we have room to put Josh on. So I had asked Josh if he wouldn't come to our meeting, as was requested by the Board of Selectmen, to get to see some of these people we appoint, know who they are now. In this particular case, we kind of know who the appointee is, but that doesn't always happen. But I wanted to just welcome Josh and say that we will hopefully in a minute or so vote to put you on the Board Conservation Commission. And would you mind, can you come up into the podium for just a second? Just in case there's any questions that the board would like to ask you. Is there any questions for Josh or?
I don't have any questions for Josh. I've known Josh quite a long time now, I think. And
It's
several years, and I think he'd be a valuable asset to the Conservation Commission.
I don't know you nearly as long, but getting to know you, I think it's a huge asset for them. Thank you for volunteering.
And that's all I want to say is publicly be able to thank you for volunteering. And we can get, it's always tough to get people to volunteer. So when we get people to volunteer for a board, commission, or committee, it's great. So thank you, Josh.
And I appreciate you making it tonight. So this started basically because sometimes we appoint people that we've never met before or seen before. So it's always nice to put a face with a name. And even for the community members to know what board you're on, and when they see you at the store, they can maybe say some positive things or make some complaints to you, but it's good for them to know.
Once you're appointed, if we vote to appoint you, which I'm probably sure bet, but once you get appointed, sometime in the near future, could you drop by town hall and see Antoinette, the town clerk, so she can swear you in?
Yes.
Takes about 5 minutes, not even that. 10
So I'll
seconds.
make a motion to appoint Josh Strunk to the Conservation Commission.
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Josh Strunk to the Conservation Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Josh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. ARPA fund update. Nothing's really changed because the last amount of money that we put back in was from the EDC business program. Nothing else has come out or gone in, correct?
So nothing else has been approved to be used, but we do have new expenditures just because it's a new fiscal year. So the third payment for the per diem, second per diem firefighter came out. So that's why we included the updated expenditures, because there have been some different expenses out of some of the different projects. So this just shows you the true cost of what we've actually spent year to date,
So
or
what,
project to date.
just so it's, so the public can hear as well, what's the undesignated amount for, that we have for ARPA?
The undesignated amount is $90,326.79.
And then the balance on the 298 as of right now?
We've spent $852,941.14 of $1 million.
I'm wondering, I know we've already moved past that agenda item, but I'm wondering if it might be worth it to reach out to Best Tech by phone to try and resolve this. It would be nice going into the community conversation, knowing how much money we had in there to potentially use for the demolition area.
Since we've been in contact through mail, through email, and we have certified letters and an attorney involved, I'm not sure I'd be allowed to do that.
Okay.
But it's not a bad idea, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So besides that, we have 90,326 going in the conversation.
Yes.
Right.
That we could potentially do something with.
And of the
if
money
we-
that was appropriated for the demolition, there's about 130,000 roughly available there.
Okay.
Okay. And last minute, conservation and development, I sent that email to all boards and commission chairs today just to rally support for that meeting. If anyone that's here in the audience tonight would be available on September 9th at 9 a.m., just from a 9 at 9. It's going to be in this room. It'll be, the community conversation is, where's the town want to go over the next 10 years? We did one in 2013. We have to do one this year. It's due by December, and then we'll do another one in 2033. But for the next 10 years, where does our town want to go? And we've got a lot of input through surveys. We've had some neighborhood meetings. And now this is like the last vision session to see if we all kind of agree, or if there's any new ideas that might pop up. So we hope to start that at 9, probably go to about 10:30, and there'll be small groups and then larger groups to just discuss on where we want to go. And then we'll probably take a short break for some refreshments. And then we want to talk about the second part of the community conversation is what we're going to do with this property where the middle school used to be standing. What is the town's vision for this property? It's on Route 2. We just had a farmer's market there, as Brett said, this past weekend. It's on Route 2. It's in the village. It's very visual. Whatever we decide to do as a town, it may be in stages. It may be do almost nothing and to add to it over the course of time. But what's the overall plan for that property? Again, I think it's gonna be something that the town will be looking at for years to come. So that's what we hope to get out of that meeting. So it would be like a 9 to 10:30, a short break, probably a walk around through where the school used to be. So you get a better idea what the property looks like with some measurements and some mapping we'll give you. And then that should last for maybe about an hour and a half. And then we hope to be out of here by maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock at the latest. But we'll be doing some advertising that on the town website, on social media. And I did reach out to all the boards and commission chairs today. So if you're on a board or a commission, you should be getting something from your chairman, just letting you know this is happening.
And Bob, on that, so they'll be able to come to, if they can't make both, they can come one or the other.
Sure.
I just wanted, so
Well,
if
you
you
don't have
can't make
to-
the morning and you want to just come for the discussion of outside of this building, they can do that, or if they want to go to POCD and then leave, it's.
I'll bet you can even come at 10:30 for refreshments and leave.
So that's true. But
We do
I
have
think
the,
it is good to get as many people there as possible, because especially with the POCD, that is our, our guidebook of where we want to be as a town over the next 10 years. So the most amount of attendance, the better. It's tough when you hear from 5 people and we have to take that as being the direction of the town for the next 10 years.
we have the schedule posted both on the town website, on the calendar. as well as on the town's Facebook page. So it has, the rough estimate of times for the day. So in case people want to look at the schedule, it's on it.
Did we do an every door direct mail for this one or no?
We're supposed to be.
Breeze is doing some sort of a flyer or something, right, that we can use. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Nicole, would you like to do the minutes?
Would love to do the minutes. I'll make a motion to approve the Town of North Stonington's Board of Selectmen meeting on August 8th, 2023 at 6:30 PM at the North Stonington Education Center and via Zoom, the minutes as written.
I'll second.
Great, thank you. So thank you to Jennifer for taking and writing the minutes for us. Any other discussion? No? All in favor of approving the minutes as read by Nicole, say aye. Aye.
That's somebody popped out.
No, sorry. Is there any other? Oh, excuse me, our next meeting is any other public
No,
comments?
comment.
Any other public comment on anything you'd like? Could be an agenda item, a non-agenda item.
I actually have one comment. or question.
I do too, but we'll-
We got the email, CC to us regarding the land on, Swantown. Will that be on our next agenda
Yes,
to
it
come to a
will.
resolution?
It will be, yeah,
Okay.
I don't want to kick that down the road anymore, but we're just waiting for some sort of an agreement to come in front of us to either agree to, change, throw out, start
So
over.
that'll be on our next.
Yes, it will
okay,
be. Yep, conservation easement. Yep. Hi.
Hi, I'm Linda Smith. Linda Smith. Anyway, is it too late to mention the Hewitt Park leash
No.
law?
No, you can.
Okay, so I was there when I first moved back from Seattle. I've been here 32 years, but left for a while to go to work. And I was used to a leash law. All dogs at all other than a dog park, fenced in dog park, dogs had to be on leashes. So I go down to Hewitt with my dog, and this random dog comes up to him. And luckily, my dog, I had a muzzle. I put it on him because the other dog wanted to attack my dog. I left the muzzle on my dog and I was really worried because mine is a Rottweiler and I didn't want anything bad to happen. So I just hit the other dog with a stick. I had to, and he ran away. I don't know who the owner was, where the owner was, but we could have had a really bad time there. So I don't go back there anymore because every time I do go there, we went a few weeks ago with my little grandson and there's random dogs just running all over and he's 2 years old. And I believe in leash laws. You walk your dog on a leash, you go to a park with a dog on the leash. Other than that, go to a dog park somewhere that's fenced in, you know? I think a leash law is a good idea.
Well, thank you for the comments. Is there any other comment before we talk about our next meeting and adjourning?
I just have one question. I don't want us to lose sight, and I'm wondering if it's going to be on the next agenda of questions that we want Kinsa to answer. Is that where we left off, that whole?
Yeah, they're expecting you to either email me and I'll send them or email them
Okay.
direct. So yes, I sent something out to you a few days ago, just reminding you to send them questions. Yep. Yeah,
Okay, I will.
Hmm.
Thank you.
just as a reminder, because I didn't know whether you remembered or not, so.
Okay.
All right, anything else? So our next meeting is September 12th, but we're gonna start by meeting in Town Hall at 6 to a quick little walk up Rocky Hollow to talk about a possible speed hump and where, if we're gonna put one there, where it's gonna go. Then we'll get cars and drive down here and start this meeting as close to 6:30 as possible. So that's on September 12th.
We also have the tri-board meeting on September 11th. I should have put that on here, but I did not.
September 11th is the tri-board meeting.
Isn't it?
And actually, the tri-board meeting this time is chaired by the Board of Ed. Excuse me,
We're
chaired by
meeting
the
at the town hall at 6
on the 12th.
on the 12th.
So we
Okay.
can just walk up the street real quick, check it out, see where it makes sense. If it helps you, we could meet in the parking lot at the Baptist Church. Depends
Oh.
how far you want to walk.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Hopefully it'll be 55 degrees, I think,
And the tri-board is on
the
the
11th.
11th?
Yes. I think it's at 6:30.
Yeah,
But I don't
I'll
remember.
check. I'll be sending out an email on that anyway to remind Christine that she's chairing it and she has to supply a minute, take her minutes. So, so I'll make sure you're copied on that. I try to copy you guys on everything I send out for the most part. All right, there's nothing else. I'll entertain a motion. for
I
adjournment.
will make a motion to, this is a record for us now for a little bit. Make a motion to adjourn at 7:30.
I'll second that.
Okay, so adjournment is at 7:33. All in favor, say